Hello, everyone that has entered. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are recording this event, and it'll be posted later. We've got Kristin here. We will be getting started in just a handful of minutes. We have the chat as well if you want to introduce yourself, where you're from, what you teach, what you do. It's always really nice to have. So many tabs open. It is a completed Tuesday. I hope everyone had a wonderful second day of the week. Melissa's putting the kids to bed again. At least it's not bath time. Um, More people joining us. Oh, bath first. There you go. One of these days, Melissa, I will put this at a time where you don't have to worry about bath time, and it could just be maybe wine time. Wine time, couch time. Best time. Yes, wine time does sound nice, Allison. I agree. Got some exciting things coming in the community coming soon. We've got season one winding down, and if anyone here is gonna be in Atlanta, Georgia during November 4, 5, 6. Oh, look at this, all the way from Jakarta. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Faru.
Hi, Kristin.
So good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah,
Of
welcome.
course, you're a friend with Kristin. Of course. Of course, it's a friend of Zimke. Of course, it is.
Yes. So basically, our school just use the school AI for this academic year. So when the school AI meet up with Kristin, so I would like to join to hear.
Thanks.
Excellent. Well, it's a match made in heaven. Anything that Kristen Zimke does is a match made in heaven. So,
Yeah,
I will try not to gush too much about her because it'll embarrass her. Uh,
It will.
is anyone from school at the Ed Tech conference at Columbia University? No, but that does sound awesome.
Mm.
Not that I'm aware of. 5 more minutes. People joining. That's excellent. So, uh, Kristen, you and we've known each other, 15 plus
Long.
years. Easily.
Yeah. Oh, easily, I think. From the time when we were virtual friends as baby teachers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so long ago. And
That's right.
where else? Let's see. When Isty was in Chicago.
Yep.
That's
We
that's
had
a these
that was a
days.
fun time too. I used to just like fangirl you on Twitter and be like, he's so smart. He's got so many good ideas.
Oh my goodness. Same. Just it's us ELA teachers. You know, we are a different breed. Um,
That's right.
but we stick
Hello,
to
Indiana.
I just had someone message me because NCTE is in Denver this year.
It
And
is.
they're going to be presenting on School AI, and they're like, "Hey, is there anything that I should focus on?" And I was like, "Absolutely, there's some things we can focus on." So it was awesome. And again, I show bias to ELA teachers. I cannot help it. Like
I
it's
know you
just
can't leave that life.
always be an ELA teacher. I just created. You can find this in the community. I created a space where when I used to teach the Crucible, you always had those kids that are like, "Oh, well, I never would have, or I would have gotten out of it, or if someone accused me, I like, those kids that always like to think that they were smarter than all the other Puritans at the time
Hmm.
doing this." So I built a space where the person interacting is accused, and they have to try to talk their way out of being accused without turning other people in, right? So that's like admitting it and
Mm.
trying. So the twist of the space is you can't do it. The space is programmed to prevent that from happening because that's how it really was. There was no I'm running away or uh the judge is the one who's actually with the devil. Like that just doesn't work. So it's a fun space. Everyone's teaching the crucible or having some fun with it. But
That's great.
it was I really tested it out. I was like, I ran away, I run away to Boston. They're like, you get lost in the woods because you don't have a horse and you can't just walk to Boston. Um,
That's
so just
awesome.
different ways to engage kids in some of the more traditional content, but
Mm,
I can't get rid of the ELA teacher in me. It's all I ever think
that's good.
about when I it's
Embrace it. Just hold on to it.
I can't right I just can't move away from it. Just I miss it so much. If I people talk, oh, what do you miss about teaching? I go, just those times where I could like sit crisscross applesauce on top of my desk because the conversation we're having as a class is just like so
So
good
good.
and you're so
Yeah.
in it and the bell rings and there's like an audible like groan from the class because they have to like those ugh, those were moments, like right, like that's
Yeah.
where I always talk about. I love teaching, but like really did not like education because that's teaching. Like the education's all the red tape and meetings at the start and the new district initiative. That's the exact opposite of the other district initiative from last year. Um, that's like for me the difference between teaching and education. But those moments, like, if I'm really hurting, one of our sales folks, our account executive, he signed up to be a sub in a district. He used to be a principal and a teacher, but he signed back up to be a sub so that he can still get into the classroom every so often, just to still
Oh,
have
I
that.
love that.
Yeah, I'm all
That's
for that.
great.
I'm like, I might do that if my son wouldn't be like mortified. Uh,
Right, right. You got that factor to
yeah.
tiptoe
So
around.
but I would love it. Like, oh, throw me in an ELA class like once every couple months. Be sweet. I'd be totally
Try
down.
something new. Yeah.
We're at 7 o'clock, which is awesome. I'm really excited here. We're gonna get started. Boop, doo, doo, doo.
Great.
In just a little bit, I'm gonna give people just a moment to connect, especially those people that are logging into Zoom and they're getting the, hey, you need to update Zoom because
Yes.
surprise.
That's
That,
always what it is, right? When and it only happens when you're running a few seconds late to a meeting, right? When you're like, ooh, flying in by the seat of your pants, and then
yep.
you need to zoom up.
You need to download this whole new update.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
sweet. So
That's
that's
great.
fabulous. We'll give just other people just a couple more minutes. Here we go. Some more people chiming in here. Again, if you're new and you're joining us, feel free to drop where you're from, what you do. We always love to know more about our community and the different things that you're doing. I want to thank you for giving up your time. Right now we have Jakarta, Indonesia, as our furthest attendee. So he's rocking out there all the way. It's probably tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? It's probably tomorrow,
It is
right? It's
tomorrow.
Wednesday
Hmm.
already. So that's fabulous. So
From the
Wednesday,
future.
it's Wednesday morning, I imagine.
Hmm.
Was it 12 hours, 13 hours? I think.
Right now, it's, yeah, I think 13. I was just there and I can't even remember. Yeah, I think it's
Flex.
13.
Flex. I was just there.
No, I can check. It's on my world clock. Hold, please. Oh, 6:01 a.m. Yep. Okay,
Oh,
thanks for
there we go. Perfect. So nice and
hey,
early
Faith.
in the morning, so 11 hours ahead of us. Well, that's great. Welcome, Faith from New Jersey. Yes, back from the future. Absolutely. We've got some more Indiana folks, which is always awesome. So I'm gonna get rolling. People will stroll in, and I will jump into the chat as needed. South Jersey from Kimberly Carpenter. Excellent. Um, this is awesome. Austin, Texas. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Got New Hampshire. I love we're seeing people all around the country, all around the world joining for this conversation. You've had a long day of teaching, or you're up bright and early to start your day. This is fabulous. I want to thank you for this. It's just a conversation. One of my perks of being the community manager is that I now get to bring in some of my most amazing friends uh, to have conversations, the conversations that because we're so busy, I wish we could spend all day doing, and it's going to be tough to limit this to 30 minutes. But we want to give you guys all the information, give time for questions and things like that. We have more people joining us right now. Excellent. So I'm just going to start with the introduction. And I like to embarrass all of my friends by reading their bios because they're my friends. These are like people I love. And, to read the bio sounds so personal, but dang it, these people are rock stars and everyone should know everything about them. So I'm going to just jump right on in here and say, welcome, Kristin Ziemke. She's a lifelong teacher and curious learner who has worked in service to young people for more than 2 decades. Recognized as an international expert in literacy, inquiry, and technology, Kristen works with organizations around the world to develop learning experiences that redefine school. An expert kid watcher and listener, Kristen's work is guided by students as they explore their agency and share their stories. Based in Chicago, she is a national board certified teacher and the co author of Read the World Rethinking Literacy for Empathy and Action Amplify Digital Teaching and Learning in the K-6 Classroom and Connecting Comprehension Technology. And of course, there is this book, the brand new one that's not in the bio yet, Text and Tech, Reading All Ways K through 8. I have the Amazon link here. Hold on. Boop. Gonna drop that in there in the
Loves.
chat to make sure everybody can get it. I have my copy right over here. Ugh, can't. There we go. I got my copy. It's sort of be there. It is. Yay! So just another reason for me to make sure I see her so I can get her John Hancock on that. Don't want to miss that. But Kristen and I go way back, as I was saying a little beforehand. We've known each other probably close to 20. I mean, digitally, easily, I
Uh-huh.
would say 20. It was probably only a handful of years before we met face to face. I had the utmost pleasure to be able to speak at a conference in Iceland with her. So to travel to Iceland and to meet all these amazing educators out there. Uh, I've been together in Chicago. Whenever I am there, it is like a stop to make sure we hang out because she's legitimately one of the smartest people I know in education. Like, hands down, brilliant, creative, empathetic, thoughtful, and I could not think of a better person to talk about digital citizenship and literacy and how they're all connected in the world that we have today. So say hello, Kristen.
Hello, and thank you for that very, very kind introduction. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's the least that I could do. Like I said, you're one of my favorite people. For everyone joining the conversation today, thank you so much. If you haven't had a moment to, I'd love to have you join our School AI community at schoolai.com/champions. Please sign up, share it. It's just an opportunity to get more in depth, to get more access to these type of webinars that we're doing, fun swag and prizes and all that other jazz that people really, really love. I've got some amazing members of the Champions community here. It is free to join, and you get an email from me like once every couple of weeks. So that's the bare minimum that you're going to get from that. But we also have some really cool things coming up in the community as well that I really want as many people as possible to be a part of. So you do that, that would be great. Skip forward. There we go. So we're going to dive right in. And as I said, Kristen is an expert in all things lit, like the digital literacy, and this is Digital Citizenship Week. And one of the big things that we had an intense conversation about at work a couple months ago is digital literacy and digital citizenship. How are they connected? So I argued that you could be digitally literate, but not necessarily a good digital citizen, but you can't be a good digital citizen without digital literacy. Kristen, what do you think of that?
I totally agree with that. It's that ability to step back and see the big picture that gets you to the point of being a good digital citizen. And I think it's beyond you. It's more global. It's thinking about empathy and action and how you can support others. What is the moral aspects of what we're doing? How can I be a thinker in this context? And so I think there's overlaps with digital literacy, but I absolutely think you could be literate, um, but not be a good digital citizen. And so therefore they have to go hand in hand.
Yeah, my argument is that some of the worst citizens could be very digitally literate because if you really,
Yes.
really know how the internet works, you could use that to
Hmm.
your advantage to not necessarily be a good citizen. And we see that today all
All
the
the time,
time.
right? Yeah.
And for you, when it comes to helping teachers understand digital literacy, where do you start?
Mm.
Now in 2025 with AI and everything, how do you even start this conversation? Because people are watching videos of rabbits jumping on a trampoline going, this is the cutest thing ever. And of course, it's completely fake. So where does
Right.
this digital literacy even live now in 2025?
Absolutely. I think I always start with dispelling the notion that it's either or, right? It's not just print literacy versus digital literacy, because our brains create these scripts to organize information and compartmentalize, right? So we're always looking for black, white, online, offline. But really, they coexist, right? And so I think we first have to name that like these pieces are tied together. Some of the research that I found for my new book that was fascinating to me is that a number of the leaders in the field suggest that we've moved into the post-digital world at this point. So like postmodernism, where like the modernism movement is coming to a conclusion. And the next thing post digital is that it's so entrenched and integrated in every aspect of society that there's no longer the ability to separate the two. And so I think as we look at how we're interacting with information, how we're creating content for ourselves and others, and how we're collaborating and connecting, it becomes this, big almost like a melting pot of we're doing it in all ways. And that's why we added that to the title of my new book, Text and Tech, because we're going to be reading always, always, right? Like forever and ever, we're going to keep updating our reading pedagogy and knowledge. And so when we think about all the ways that we're reading images and graphics and photos and AI and social media and ebooks and everything multimedia and multimodal. And we're really looking at how we can celebrate and hold on to great tools of technology like books and notebooks and bring them on the adventure because the journey is about having more access and having the tools you need at the right time to be a better thinker.
I love how you talked about we are programmed to compartmentalize, that things
Hmm.
need to be in a certain order for us to even start thinking and consuming it. And it's good in some ways, but also, like you said, the negative aspect of it is that we fail to see the bigger picture. If we're just focused on one silo, we don't see how they're all connected. And I think it's a brilliant observation on your part to see what that looks like because as teachers, we are drinking from the fire hose.
Hmm.
And some of us have training on how to manage that. But how do we prepare a fifth grader to drink from that
Right.
fire hose when it's YouTube, it's Twitch, it's Steam, it's like all of these constant flows of media consumption? I mean, how does that work into a third grade class? Like, where does that fit? And is there an age that's too young to start these conversations? Like, how does that work? Because kids are asked to understand a lot. And then the other side of that, how do we teach teachers this? For those veteran
Hmm.
teachers who haven't dealt with this. So What does that look like in your experience with the younger students and having these conversations about being digitally literate and understanding the skill sets that they need to be productive members of society?
Yeah, I think we do this lots of ways, but another piece in my book is that the research has found that in the majority of classrooms worldwide, teachers are not talking about the similarities and differences of print and digital information because there's some ways they have a lot of parallels. There's some ways that they're very different, but the act of naming raises awareness. And when we're aware, we can go deeper with our thinking about how we interact with that. So I think that's a very simple first step for people just to start talking about like, what do you notice? Like, how is this the same? How is this different? In a first grade classroom, I would teach a lesson on how to annotate a book with sticky notes and a marker and a clipboard and we do that for 2 days. And on day three, I would teach a lesson on how to annotate information on some type of device with a drawing tool and how to save it and share it with the teacher. And so the idea is that we're tracking thinking, we're monitoring comprehension, we're asking questions about a piece of information, just a tool is different. And so those conversations, those early opportunities, then lead us into a moment where we can discuss how do we know if it's time to take a break from our technology? Like, how are you monitoring, just like you're monitoring your brain while you're reading, how are you monitoring your brain when you're using a device, right? Like, what does that sound like? Does your understanding break down? Do you notice that you're getting frustrated or just checking out? I want you to go throughout the next hour and just really monitor everything that's happening in your brain as you're using devices, right? And so we start with small, doable chunks, like a close reading of something, and then we can expand it over time and ask kids, to do even data collections on how they're using their devices and their time, and that becomes a math problem, and then we can have a conversation about it. So it's really integrating all the subjects and the practices, but we have to name it in order to know it and understand what to do next.
Oh, it's so spot on. Like I love that so much because if you pull back even further, it's major life skills is what we're talking about,
Yeah,
right? Ultimately,
yeah,
and that self-awareness piece, whether we call it social emotional learning now, because that's what we call it now, from when we started teaching, it was just called, "Hey kids, how are you feeling?" Like, are
right.
we like, how does this piece make you feel? Like, what? But to say, hey, be cognizant of how these things are making you feel is huge because I don't think that's something that we're seeing happening often in these younger grades. Like we're
Mhm.
afraid to have those conversations, and I think there are a lot of external forces depending on where you teach, where that's
Mhm.
understandable. But it's so valuable to teach kids it's okay to self-assess. Like I
Mhm.
can't tell you how you're going to feel reading this or utilizing this tool, watching this video, but if you're utilizing these tools and they're making you feel a certain way, you have to at least, like you said, name it,
Mhm.
acknowledge it. And I think it's a really powerful step in that process of being digitally literate and then be able to take that to be a good digital citizen. Because if you know how something makes you feel, you instinctively will be able to know how it could make other people feel, right?
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
making those connections, which is tough for those young students that don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex and
Mhm.
and deal with that. So my question, the next step is, well, how do we get parents on board? I think this is great when you've got the
Yeah.
kids sitting in your class, but you have a parent, my son, he's a freshman in high school. I know it drives him up a wall that I have all of these things in place to keep him safe and secure and to teach them how to use technology. But I think of all of these parents who have no idea how to work the filters
Right.
on their Wi-Fi in their house or how to manage the parental options on a phone. How do we have these conversations with parents?
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think that's something where, we're kind of we could do better at this, right? Like, I think we need to have parent trainings and parent workshops and conversations. I'm doing a parent training for a school next week on, device usage and how to think about that. Because I think that the nature of society right now is that everyone's so busy. Oftentimes, parents are putting them on devices as a tool to help manage some of the busyness, but not knowing the research like maybe educators do or psychologists do, or not knowing how to manage the device in an appropriate way that they can keep their students safe. Jonathan Haidt talks a lot about how we've had this proactive parenting movement where like kids can't be outside alone and society has changed and we need to be afraid of the world. Yet we're then placing young people on the internet, which is one of the most dangerous places they can be without supervision. And there's a new bit of research that just came out that much of the anxiety and depression that kids are experiencing today is because they don't have unstructured spaces where they can go or be with their friends or play and collaborate. So I think we need to really have some new opportunities for parents, whether it be sending home, a 60-second video on one thing they can do to support their child with device usage as a school or as a classroom teacher, or whether it's someone like school AI, like jumping on and saying like, hey, we can have parent trainings to talk to you more about how we're using devices and what you might need to think about with your kids' device usage at home. So I always think that information and education is the key, and I think we can do better in supporting parents.
Well, and I think that's something as districts and schools have to consider, especially with the rolling out of new technology, whatever that might
Mhm.
be. And I think one of the things
Yeah.
that we've done at School AI is work with districts that say, hey, we're rolling out this platform. How can we support parents? How can we support teachers? And we say, hey, we've got lessons for that. We have presentations for that
Yes.
because, you know, part, at least for AI, is one, removing the stigma of like what it is, what we're talking about.
Hmm.
For me, when AI started to roll out in schools, the English teacher in me went right away and goes, "Oh my goodness, essay writing is done. Forget it. I'm out of the job." All And then when I took a beat, which like I think all of us, need to do, I was like, well, accessibility wise, I think I see a lot of kids who would really benefit from this type of tool in certain ways. Or
Mhm.
the kids who maybe don't have parents at home that have writing backgrounds, whether that is just they didn't go through college, they don't write memos or like whatever it is. Like I remember my parents where I needed math support. And I was like, well, they went through high school. They should know math. And my parents were both like, listen, I don't use this. I did it once and I don't use it anymore. So to have tools that could help in those areas where parents are not experts, I go, that's huge. Like that's what we want to do is use tools that can support our students where they are. And as the teacher, while technology has maybe for good or for bad, made us more accessible to our students. Having tools, AI tools in particular, to help support those students in ways and times that meet them where they are. Because, those 1 a.m. emails I would get from my high school students, and then they would show up to school and go, "Did you get my email?" I go, "Yeah, at 8 a.m. when I looked at my email, not at 1 a.m. when
Yeah.
you were sending it." I go, "I don't
Sending
know
it.
what you were expecting to happen for me to get pinged on my phone and go, I gotta respond to this." So I
Mhm.
think utilizing these tools to help meet our kids where they are, because some of our kids are there because they're working a late shift because they need to support the family and they don't get off until like those are like real things that our students are dealing with. So
Totally.
when we look at digital literacy and preparing our students, as a teacher, where do I start? I'm brand new. I'm like, okay, I need to really focus on digital literacy. I teach middle school. Where do I start? Because we're all teachers of digital literacy, just like we're all teachers of reading, despite how some subject people never like to hear that. But we are all teachers of reading.
Right.
But we're
Yes.
all teachers of digital literacy. So where do I start besides getting your books, which are amazing? Besides that.
Thank you. But I think we start with like the age-old think aloud, right? Like I think so much great instruction can happen with one device and a projector in the classroom as we model and do a think aloud. Like, okay, how am I going to search for more information about this? Where kid-friendly sites that we can go to find more information. And maybe that's a mini lesson. Here are 5 sites that I want you to use right now, and then we'll keep adding to them, right? So we can have, here are the places to go. Then I'll model it and I'll show like, okay, is this the information I want, or do I need to say more about this in my search terms, right? Do I need to refine my keyword search or my prompting and model how to ask better questions, which all connects back to the literacy pieces. And then as we have multimodal text and digital products, just talking through the different elements, like what is the hyperlink? Where does it go? How do you get back from it? And there are many ways we can create supports, whether it be like a think sheet for kids to use, where it's reminding them, just like we did with nonfiction features and naming their purpose, digital features and their purpose. And so really building capacity for how to navigate online products, I think is the first step to building those digital literacy practices.
I think it's.
And I have a second step.
Oh,
Can
go
I
ahead.
have a
Go.
second step?
Yeah, go. Absolutely.
My second step would be to model for kids to slow down their thinking, right? So often you think about like a informational video that maybe has 2 minutes of content on it, but in that 2 minutes of content, there's so much information because it's a video. Let's slow down. Let's go back and reread that video again. And I'm always using the language of reading. Let's stop and think about what this part means. Like, did we understand that? Do we need to look up a word? Kind of like we would do with a complex informational text, but just reminding students like comprehension can happen sometimes by slowing down. So let's slow down. And I think that's a good life reminder anyway.
I couldn't agree more with that. If you have a question, I want you guys to think about that now. I'm going to give one more little shout out to your Kristen. And then if you have questions, I want to leave time for that. Kristen, do you remember the Pacific Northwest tree octopus?
Yes, we both loved it.
I love it. I'm dropping the space that I built in the chat that does a AI version of the Pacific Northwest Track to everyone out there to explore. But these are conversations. Again, it's funny. It's the same conversation with slightly different nouns. Like it's just
Right.
whether it's the Pacific Northwest octopus, whether it is Sora made videos, whether it is the trustworthiness of a news site, a .org versus a .edu versus a .net. Our initial fear of Wikipedia, and then Wikipedia somehow turning out to be one of the more accurate repositories
Yes,
of
right.
information. The like I have done a complete flip from my initial. You can't use Wikipedia. That's not a source to now. You should probably be using Wikipedia for any of this information.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you personally, you, Kristen, how do you stay current and relevant with what's happening in the digital world? Like, how is that even possible?
I think it is something that everybody is challenged by, but I think that I read a lot and I try to think about what makes sense. And I always go back to the same lens of why does this matter for students? How can I help them grow? Right. And I think when we use the language of growing, it doesn't mean like we as a teacher need to know everything. In fact, I think one of the most important things we can do for our students is model not knowing.
Mhm.
What do we do then? How do we recover from that not knowing moment and to signal that learning is messy and sometimes you don't know the things, but then you can go research, you can ask a friend, you can like reach out to people on social media and try to figure those pieces out. So I'm trying to give myself the same permission. I don't have to know everything, but I'm going to keep learning and stay on that continuum.
Such a great answer. But the three strongest words I learned as a teacher was I don't know. And the look
Absolutely.
on the kid's face, because it wasn't
Yes.
just I don't know, move on. It was I don't know, but let's figure that out. And
Right.
that look, because there's also this weird thing about being an ELA teacher where the kids assume that you've read all the books, like
Hmm.
every single one. Like, hey, Mr. P,
Yes.
have you read such and such? Oh, no, I haven't. And they just look at you and go, well, what are you doing with your life? I go, well, I'm rereading the same 5 books every year for the past 15 years. I go, that's step one. Step two. So I'm with you on that one. Saying, I don't know, but
Hmm.
let's explore together is empowering because it would have kids just go, oh, because it's okay to say I don't know. Like if we
Yeah.
knew everything or if we expected everyone to know everything, what's the point? Like the
Right.
exploration's the fun part. And I go, and maybe that's a little bit of why, you and I like in ELA teachers, like we love that because it's the research, it's the look for, it's the, once you just sort of know and you plaque it away. But like the I don't know is exciting. I love
Yeah.
the I don't know because there's something I don't know and I want to know it and I'm going to research it, and knowing where to go to find those answers is I think a more difficult process now than it was
Yeah.
5 years ago because one of the things about AI that's true, and we talk about it at School AI, is that, everything needs to be cross-checked. Even if AI says it, you should go, hey, let me verify that. Because
Yeah.
verifying sources is a skill set. Because if something seems too good to be true, it probably is,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so teaching kids where to go to find answers, and then where to go to cross those answers, right? Like say, hey,
Hmm.
it says here, where's another site? And some kids would always say, well, Mr. P, it sounds like twice the work. I go, yes, it is. Because it's supposed to be, because that's what research is you don't just find the thing that agrees with you. You go, does anyone else agree with me? Or is there something else on the other side of that? And I think I hate to use buzzwords, but like the grit of research is
Hmm.
real. And
Yeah.
I imagine you in researching I mean, it is an expedition to find information. And I think starting at a young age, and I think you emphasized that great, through just wondering. We'll start with
Hmm.
wondering and documenting and see where that takes us. And I think that's such a beautiful way to view it for all grades because it's a conversation for everyone, I think, to have with their students. We're at 7:30, so one of the things I want to do is if you have a question, you're welcome to unmute now and ask this question because I want to give you guys a voice, obviously. So if you have a question, go for it. I've got teacher wait time. I'm really good. I can wait. Okay, if you don't have questions, because I know what Kristen shared is so awesome and on point. It's totally okay not to have questions. Um, Kristen, where can people find you on the internet if they should have a question later? Where can they find you?
Yes. Yes. If you have a question later, please submit it through my website, kristinziemke.com. I'm also on Blue Sky and Instagram. So if you just search my name, it should pop up. But I love hearing what other educators are trying. Um, and I think when we all share that we're doing this together, we bring collective energy to the work and we up level the playing field for all teachers and all students and say, yes, we're committed to learning and growing. Join us.
Awesome. Kristen, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you are super busy doing so many amazing things on every single day, and I just feel very lucky to call you a friend and to share our profession with you. You
You
are one of
same.
those examples I point people to immediately who are doing the
Thank you.
work. And yeah, thank you for taking the time. For everyone that showed up, thank you for taking your time. You taught all day, or you're about to start your day teaching on a Wednesday already. Thank you for taking that time as well to prove to be lifelong learners. And I think modeling that is a huge testament to all of you. So thank you guys
Yeah.
all so much. This recording will be posted on the RSVP site, so it'll be posted in our community. So if you want to share this with people in your school that might have missed it or something that is perfect for them, you can share that link and we'll get that out to them as well. So thank you, Kristen. Thank you, everyone. I hope
Yeah.
everyone has
Thanks,
a wonderful
everybody.
evening.
Have a great night. Thanks so much, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.